Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and President Donald Trump just dealt a significant blow to the Democrats' chances in 2026 and beyond. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. So, I'm going to give you what Trump said, and then I'm going to give you the caveat. So President Trump has declared today that he will sign an executive order to end mail-in voting for anybody other than the handicapped who can diagnose their handicap and can show proof of a diagnosis, and for military. I support this. I support this 100%. And I've used mail-in balloting. I support this 100%. I think it's very hard for people to be ID'd through the mail. I especially think it's a bad look when every eligible voter gets a ballot mailed to them, because some voters are apathetic. They don't care enough to go and vote. They don't care enough to request a ballot. And see, I think at the bare minimum, you should have to request the mail-in ballot, because then it shows that you at least care. You're at least trying to vote. But having it mailed to you like coupons, that's not going to help anybody. It's like getting your Valpak in the mail, right? You look at the coupons, you toss it aside. Do they even do Valpak anymore? I don't know. I digress. The problem is, does the president constitutionally have the power to make a nationwide voting decision? I believe the answer to that is no. I don't think the president has that authority. What he could do, and I think what he is doing, is putting Congress on notice that they have to craft a law. And I think Trump, he uses sometimes these executive orders in a way to get this done, to get Congress to take action. And they may do that in this case. They should do that in this case. I'm not saying there has to be a universal ban on this. And Trump, he's a businessman. He starts from this negotiating position, always at the top. And then he'll negotiate with you. But you always got to start your negotiations here. You don't start them here. If you start them here, you'll end up here. If you start them here, you'll end up here. That's simple. Anybody that knows business knows this. Trump knows this. I think this is a great idea. I want you to hear these people whine about it, however, and then let me know what you think in the comments.
Certainly showing that. I'm going to switch gears here a bit. Trump saying on social media that he will sign an executive order mandating voter ID and restrict mail-in voting. And earlier this week, you said Congress must ensure that only citizens make electoral decisions. Now, sir, we're just curious about this because the Constitution already says non-citizens cannot vote. I looked at the data this morning. It's very rare that non-citizens do go out and vote. So why double down on this?
Well, the point that we're making is that only American citizens should be making the decisions. And it's one of those common sense issues. And when we say that when a person registers to vote, they ought to be able to produce proof of citizenship. And it ties into the whole voter ID idea. And listen, you can't drive a car. I can't get on an airplane. I can't even buy fireworks without producing something that proves that I am who I say I am. And I think that it's important that folks have proof of citizenship. The SAVE Act has passed in the U.S. House. It's time for the Senate to get to work on it and get it passed and get it on the president's desk. And so, again, these are critical issues. And yes, in North Carolina alone, I listed recently the number of countries where people have been actually prosecuted for trying to vote and voting here in our own state of North Carolina. And someone asked me, said, well, doesn't that prove that the system's working? Well, the reality is those were the ones that were caught and the ones that were prosecuted. We can't even begin to imagine how many are voting that are not caught. And so I think it's important. It's just another step in voter security and folks having confidence in our system.